Alright guys, let's move on. Before we continue retrieving the messages, there is something that I noticed in the code as I was going through it, a little error. It's not much of an error because it doesn't spoil anything, but it's still a little wrong. Here in our on-click listener for the send button, I have a database reference message push, and what it does is I call the push method and I use it to get this message key, which gave us our unique identifier for each message. Now it was supposed to follow the path of the messages, which is messages followed by the current user ID followed by the recipient ID, and there's the unique key. But instead what I did was I put the ref, the current user ref, which is this string. Now interestingly, it'll still work, and in fact you've seen that it still works, because this, even if it points to a table that hasn't yet been created in the database, it will still give you your unique key if you ask for it. However, even though it worked, it's still not entirely correct, so I'm going to change this to current user ID as it should be, and this one to recipient ID. Okay, that's just a little edit that I need to do for the on-click listener, and now we can continue with retrieving the messages. So the last thing I did was I created this message class, and the message class simply had all the fields for our message table as it follows in the database: message, scene, time, and type, and the constructors and the getters and setters. So now what we need is a message adapter class that we'll use with our recycler view. So I'm going to go to my Java, the package, say new Java class, and the class will be message adapter. There it is, and it will inherit from recycler view dot adapter message adapter dot message view holder. Okay, so this message view holder class will hold our widgets, our text view, our circle image view, etc. Notice, of course, that there's an error because we haven't created this class yet, and also notice that I wrote message adapter dot message view holder, which means I'm going to create this class within my message adapter class. Okay, next thing, I'll create a private list, a list of messages, and I'll call it message list. Then I'll import this, alt enter. Next thing I need is a constructor, so alt insert constructor, press enter, and then I'm going to override on create view, on create view holder, that is. And within this, the first thing I'll do is I'll create a view. I'll just call it v, that's fine, is equals to layout inflator dot from, and then we say parent, which is passed in here, dot get context dot inflate, and now we must pass in that custom resource that we made. So it was r dot layout dot single message. The next argument is parent, which was passed in, and the next one is simply false for the attached to root. Okay, that's the view created, and now we must tell it to return a new message view holder and we'll pass in that view. Okay, the error persists, but that's fine. We will deal with it immediately by creating that class. So right underneath the on create view, I'll just say public class message view holder. There we go. And we can open our curly braces, and the very first thing we need is to inherit. This class has to inherit extends recycler view dot view holder. There we go. Within the class, we can create our widgets. So the widgets will be public circle image view. Let's put some spacing here, and I'll call it message avatar. Message avatar. I think it looks better with the camel case. And public text view. Now for the actual text, message text. Next thing we need is the constructor for this. So public message view holder, and the argument, the parameter that is, will be view v. And now in here we have to call the superclass and pass in that v. Next we have to take the objects we just created. So message avatar to begin with is equals to v dot find view by id, r dot id dot, let's take a look, message avatar. Message avatar. Then I'm going to duplicate, change this to text, and change this to, I think it's message text. Yes, it's message text. Alright, that's it for the constructor, and actually for the class entirely. That's all you need to put inside the message view holder class. So outside the class, we can now override another method, this time on bind view holder. And within this one, we can create a message object. So I'll just call it m is equals to message list, and then we have to get the particular message using position. The position that we currently are is passed in through this variable. Next, we can set the text. So we can say view holder, which again is passed in here. Actually, they called it holder. So holder dot message text dot set text, and then we just pass in what's in that message. So m dot get message. Simple as that. We'll do the one for the circle image view later. For now, let's just see if we can get the text alone. And then the final thing we need for this message adapter is to pass in one more override method, which I'm sure it's even complaining about. Yep, class message adapter must implement get item count. We can even get it to do that for us by clicking this light bulb and say implement method get item count, and there it is. So right now it returns 0. You can get rid of the 0 and say message list dot size, and that's it. That's our entire message adapter. So I'll just run through it very quickly. All you need, the only variable you're creating is the message list. Then you have to create the constructor. Within the onCreate view holder, all you do is you create a view object and you inflate it. Within this, you'll pass in whatever custom layout you've created for your messages. Then you have to return a new message view holder, which takes in that view that you created, by the way. You create your class, your view holder class, which takes in however many widgets that you put, however different widgets that you put in your single message layout. You pass them in here, you create the constructor, then you override on bind view, which is where you'll actually get the message and use that message to set the text, and then finally get item count, where you just tell it how many items there are using message list.size. Okay, that's it. That's all we need from there. So I'll close everything, actually close all, and let's go to our chat activity. So in the chat activity, first we need to create a few more objects at the top. The first one will be private list of messages, message list. Next to the, underneath that we'll have private linear layout manager. I'll call it layout manager. Let's initialize this first, all the way down here. So message list is equals to new array list, and layout manager is equals to new linear layout manager, and this requires context, so we pass that in. Okay, the next thing we need is to set these. Before that, actually, this is our recycler view, so let's set it to have fixed size. We'll say messages dot set has fixed size to be true. And then back down here we can say messages dot set linear layout manager, set layout manager. Okay, the next thing we do is we'll create another object, this time the adapter. So private message adapter will initialize down here. Adapter is equals to new message adapter, and all it wants is the message list. And then we simply set the message, the recycler view to the adapter. So we say messages dot set adapter. That's simple. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to actually load the messages, and to do that I will call a method called load messages. And we haven't created this method, so let's click the light bulb and click create method. Okay, so what do we need to do inside the load messages method? The first thing is to go to where the messages are, which is in the database, in the messages table. So we can take our root, dot child messages dot child, first the current user ID, dot child, now the recipient ID, and finally dot child, no, actually that's the last child. So dot add, now we won't use value event listener, we're going to use a different one, child event listener. And let's terminate, and new child event listener. Now, as you can see, the child event listener comes with quite a few more methods than the value event listener. So in a nutshell, this class, the child event listener class, will tell you about every single change to the data snapshot. So that's good for us, because we want to know every single time a new message comes into the database. Okay, so in the onChildAdded method, the first thing we'll do is we'll create a message object. So message is equals to data snapshot dot get value, and then we terminate, and within the brackets we say message dot class. Okay, I think I've mentioned this before, but I just want to stress it. We're passing in all the values in the data snapshot directly into the class, so it will match up to the variables in the class. Now for this to work, those variables, message, type, scene, and time, have to match exactly to what's in the database: message, scene, time, and type. Okay, back to chat activity. So now we've gotten the message. All we're going to do is to add it to our list. Message list dot add message. And now that we've done that, we can use our adapter notify dataset changed, and that's it. So let's run this and see what happens. Oh, before I run it though, there's something I'd like to show you. So while I was testing, I found my layout wasn't very user friendly. Where is it? Here it is, activity chat. This layout that we created, it was shifting around the widgets too much, more than I liked. So what I did was I created another one, activity chat 2, which looks pretty much the same, but when the keyboard shows up, the action bar doesn't suddenly disappear like with the one that I created. So what I'll do, just to make things easy, I'll just go ahead and copy all of this and throw it into the description. And also here in chat activity, I'm going to come here, r.layout activity chat 2. Okay, now let's run it. Okay, here's the app running in my emulator. I also have my physical device here with me, and I'm logged in as this new user called Doe. So I'm going to open this. And I'm going to message, but first let me open my database and shift this over here. Okay, so message, and you can see both the chat and the user's database registered that. So here's Doe, and it's saying that he's online. That's good. I'm sure if I open this, I don't know which one it is and I won't search right now, but it's created that entry. And now for the main event, I'm going to send him a message. Okay, so and there it is. Fantastic. You saw it change in the database and it immediately showed up here. Now I'm going to go into, I'm using my physical device now. I'm going to go into Doe's profile, look for, rather Will's profile, and message, and I'm going to respond to that message. I'm going to say, hey Will. And there it is. It came. Wonderful. This has worked perfectly. Okay, a few things. So first of all, you notice that this action bar has not disappeared. That's because I'm using the new layout, so that worked. Good. Second, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make it so that we can differentiate between the sender and the receiver. Right now, you can't know who sent what exactly. Of course, now you can because their names are there. But if it was any random message, it would look the same. So we're going to slightly change the layout depending on whether it's a sender or a receiver. And yeah, that and other things will come in the next video. Another thing, of course, is to clear this. This text has to clear as soon as you've sent. Yeah, so that's what we'll do in the next video. But I am happy with how this has turned out so far. One thing, by the way, guys, I apologize for the background noise in this and previous videos. It's been difficult to get, oh, good Lord. It's been difficult to get this place empty. But I'll hopefully, for the next few videos, it will be completely silent, I hope. Anyway, though, this has worked perfectly, and I'm going to end it there for now. Thank you very much.